Let's get in now to some free agency grades of all 32 teams. And so that you're interacting with us here, here's our grading scale. A is great, B is good, C is average, D is bad, F, fire everyone. We're going to go through now all 32 teams and their free agency grades. Let's do it first off here, Tom. The Arizona Cardinals, they get the A-plus grade.
You really wanted this just because the DeAndre Hopkins trade was so wildly unfair.
They deserved it. Yeah. They 100% deserved an A-plus grade. They got the deal of a lifetime in Hopkins for basically only a second rounder. But the more important thing, you got out of the David Johnson contract. A-plus for the Arizona Cardinals. Let's now go to the other bird team, the Atlanta Falcons, where we're giving them a B-minus.
I like what the Falcons did. I was almost a C-plus for them. I maybe a bit of an overpay for Dante Fowler, but Leonard Floyd didn't get that much less, so I guess that's fine there. You lose Austin Hooper. You lose Vic Beasley. I think you actually upgraded an edge. I did not like moving a second-round pick for Hayden Hurst. That really brought them down for me, but I actually like going to dump Freeman and adding Todd Gurley. So the Hurst thing brings it down, but overall I thought it was a good free agency here for the Atlanta Falcons.
We're going to go from the Falcons now heading over to Baltimore, the Ravens, who finished 14-2 last year. They had a pretty solid free agency period. You gave them a B+.
Yeah, we did a version of this early on in free agency, like after the first couple of days. At the time, the Ravens had agreed to a deal with Michael Brockers. Now that didn't happen in the end. That was a very unusual situation where it just ended up not working out. They had injury concerns there, so they don't get Brockers. They did, of course, trade for Calais Campbell. They also added Derek Wolfe on a much, much cheaper contract. He's not maybe quite as good as Brockers is, but I think he brings you more in the passing, in terms of the pass rushing game. You didn't really lose that much. Overall, I like what what Baltimore's been able to do so far.
Let's go to my sleeper Super Bowl team, the Buffalo Bills, who get an A. I mean, you traded for Stephon Diggs. You had to get a number one wide receiver for your young quarterback in Josh Allen. And you want to talk about a team that's been active in the free agent market. And I'll say this, and you guys can agree with me if you want, they have the best defense in the NFL.
And they've upgraded, I thought, too. Yes, they lost Jordan Phillips and Shaq Lawson, but you bring in Vernon Butler, Quentin Jefferson, and Mario Addison. Maybe it's not a huge upgrade, but I think it's an incremental upgrade, and you still got some money to spend if you want. Yeah, you don't have a first-round pick, but I like what Buffalo's done. When you're trying to build around a young quarterback who does still need help in Josh Allen, I think the Bills are laying out a template for how to go about doing that.
Totally agree. And remember to continue to get your votes in on every single team that we show their grades, A, B, C, D, or F. Let's go to a team that we're going to give a C- to, Tom. Pretty active, the Carolina Panthers.
The Panthers, it's almost a tale of two different stories here. The offensive side, you add Robbie Anderson to be your number 2, number 3 receiver. You get a great deal for Teddy Bridgewater. That's awesome. Then defensively, I mean, you lose so much, not even including the Luke Kuechly retirement here. The Carolina Panthers have lost CB1, James Bradbury. DT1, DT2, DT3, DT4 in Butler, McCoy, Poe. Edge number 2 in Mario Addison. Edge number 3 in Bruce Irvin. And, of course, linebacker 1 to retirement and strong safety 1, Eric Reed. That's a massive amount of loss on defense. I love the offense, but Tahir Whitehead and Stephen Weatherly and Chris Smith and Zach Kerr, you guys probably don't know who those players are. That's not great on defense.
Not great at all. C- for the Carolina Panthers. And this next team that's up, the Chicago Bears, they are also going to get a C- grade. They did add Robert Quinn and Jimmy Graham. The Jimmy Graham addition was a little bit of a head scratcher. I understand that they didn't have a lot of talent last year in the terms of tight end, but going out and giving Jimmy Graham 2 years, $16 million. Am I the only one that thinks that this is laughable?
It's not good. We're not even talking about the Nick Foles side of it, which is its own separate discussion we've gone into a bunch. Jimmy Graham is not prime Seahawks Jimmy Graham anymore, guys. Or even Saints Jimmy Graham. He's just not that good anymore. He's old in terms of his body. He's not that old age-wise, but he's taking a beating. He can't move the same way. And on top of that, why did you give him a no-trade clause? I just don't get it. I don't understand what the Bears do there. I did like the Quinn deal. Jimmy Graham is an upgrade over what they had. That's not saying anything. I just don't get it. I really don't.
The losses of HaHa Clinton Dix, Prince Amukamara, and even, Nick Kwiatkowski, I think that's really going to hurt that Bears defense. Let's head on over now to Cincinnati. They're getting a B- grade. I was actually surprised you gave them a B-. I liked a lot of the things that the Bengals did.
Well, they spent, and that's very different for the Bengals, and I know Cincinnati fans know this. They have not been an active team in free agency. They haven't spent that. That's not been their MO. They changed that this year. They spend big money on DJ Reader. They spend big money on Trey Waynes. Von Bell gets paid. Mackenzie Alexander. I like those last two the most. So it is a change of direction. I don't think the spending to go from Andrew Billings to DJ Reader and from Dre Kirkpatrick to Trey Waynes was really, enough value. Frankly, it's an upgrade, but not for what they spent. So it's good. It's better, but it wasn't quite as good as it could have been.
Continue to get your votes in A, B, C, D, or F. Let's go to the Cleveland Browns. And if you disagree with our grades, let us know in the comment section. We gave him an A, and I think they made a lot of good moves. Personally, for me, Tom, my favorite, the Conklin, 3 years, $42 million.
That was a steal. I think that came in well below what he could have gotten if he really tried to push for maybe a longer-term deal. So I love that for Cleveland. I love the value signings of Carl Joseph, Andrew Billings as well. Case Keenum's going to be a backup. That's fine. Austin Hooper, I didn't love it, but it's fine. That was going to be his market anyway. So I think for the Browns, who had money to spend this offseason, if they can cap this off, go out and sign Everson Griffin. Or heck, go get wild with it. Cut Vernon. Add Clowney. That's a great idea. But even if they don't do that, which I don't know if they're going to, I like what the Browns have done this offseason.
So Tom likes what the Browns have done. Now's your chance to let us know who the biggest free agency winner is. And for those of you that are watching this on YouTube, you might get with an ad break. So while that ad is playing, I want you to scroll on down and let us know who the biggest free agency winner is.
All right, on now to the Cowboys. And again, it's kind of a tale of two different stories here. In terms of looking at a bubble, just the moves made. Gerald McCoy, Dontari Poe, HaHa Clinton Dix, Blake Jarwin's a pretty team-friendly deal. Amari Cooper sticks around if they kind of botch the opening of that. That's pretty good. And then you look at the losses side of it. Randall Cobb, he's gone. Robert Quinn, he's gone. Byron Jones is gone. Jeff Keith, Malik Collins, Jason Witten. So all of those losses in the end, they kind of end up negating what wasn't a bubble. I thought a good free agency, but when we look at the whole picture, it just kind of ends up being pretty average in the end for the Dallas Cowboys. So it could have been a lot worse. I'd have felt better if they had paid Byron, but they didn't quite keep as many guys and didn't replace them all, at least not yet.
Let's now go to the Denver Broncos, who we're giving a B grade to 7-9 last year. I'll say this about the Broncos. They made a lot of, sneaky moves.
I think that's a good way to put it. I thought, getting Graham Glasgow, a little bit of overpay, but that's fine. Melvin Gordon, because they want to have a three-headed attacker. Maybe Royce Freeman's on the block. Who knows? I was surprised they moved on from Chris Harris, but they paid A.J. Boye and he's going to get paid more than Chris Harris. That's super weird to me. But their best move by far, and this almost got them into the A range, trading for Jarrell Casey for just a 7th-round pick. That's one of the best trades you'll see all offseason, not including Hopkins.
So we're going to go from the Denver Broncos, now head over to the Detroit Lions. If you think I'm halfway decent at my job, you can see the lower third below. Follow me on IG at MitchellRens365. So a C- for the Lions. Tom, you're really trying to trigger the Lions fans here on our show.
I don't think that I am. First off, you're the Detroit Lions triggerer, just so we're clear. Detroit is in a weird spot for me. Ricky Wagner to Big V. Is that really an upgrade? You traded away Darius Slay. You got, I think, a passable return. Ooh, Desmond Trufant, whatever. You added a bunch of former Patriots and Duron Harmon and Jamie Collins and Danny Shelton. I got to be honest with our Lions fans' friends. I don't trust the direction the organization is heading under Bob Quinn. I like the hire. I thought he'd do pretty well. They're going back to where they were, a year and a half ago when they're making all these moves to add a tackle and add edge help. Is going from Wagner to Big V an upgrade, is going from Jamie Collins after having Devin Kennard a big upgrade, is adding Danny Shelton to replace Ashawn Robinson and Snacks Harrison an upgrade. I don't know that it actually is.
So we want you to get your votes in right now, okay? The Lions, did they get better or worse in free agency. So if you think they got better, type B. If you think they got worse, type W. And right now our goal is to have over 100 comments per minute. Right now we're at only 46.5. So start typing B for better. Start typing your W for worse. Tom, Lions, better or worse?
I think it's fairly neutral. If I'm not including the return of Matthew Stafford, of course, but I'm not convinced they got better, especially after losing Slay. Now, come draft, they'll be better off, but right now, I'm not convinced. Sorry.
And a lot of W's in the comments section. Let's now go to another team in the same division, the Green Bay Packers. We're giving them a B grade. You paid Christian Kirksey less than Blake Martinez, who I think you and I both agree, Blake Martinez, one of the more overrated linebackers who got quite a bit of money. You did lose Brian Bulaga. You added Ricky Wagner for less. But overall, a B grade for the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, I think this is a very good example of a good free agency, but not quite a great one.
Well, good. I got a great deal for everyone watching. Chatsports.com/NFL jersey. If you're a Packers fan, go get yourself an Aaron Rodgers jersey under $80. Hundreds of NFL jerseys. You can also get the Color Rush ones. Me personally, my favorite Color Rush jerseys are the Saints, so I love that Alvin Kamara one. I grew up right next to East Rutherford, so I know a lot of people that got this Saquon Barkley jersey. Bottom of the line, if you got a favorite player, if you got a favorite team, shout them out in the comments section. But also while you're down there in the comments, click on the link that says chatsports.com/NFL jersey and rep your favorite team. One team that might not be very proud in the comments, it's the Houston Texans. We had to give them an F.
Fire Bill O'Brien. I'm not going to offer any analysis. You guys know this free agency has sucked for them. Just F's in the chat for Bill O'Brien. That's all I need. Get him out of there. He's taking that team.
Spam the F's in there. All right, we're going to go from the Houston Texans, who kind of F themselves. Let's now go to the AFC South, the Indianapolis Colts. We're giving them a B grade on this one. You traded the number 13 pick for DeForest Buckner, and I actually like the Buckner move. I understand that you kind of hurt yourself in the draft, but Buckner's a huge asset on that defensive line.
I think a lot of this comes down to Phillip Rivers as well. Like, if you believe in him, you're probably going to give him an outright A. If you don't, maybe it's more along the lines of a C. Yeah, they've made some changes at cornerback. I was a little surprised they cut Pierre Desir, but they're all in on Buckner, and it really comes down to those two main moves. I thought they were good. I'm just not convinced they were the best moves in the end for Indianapolis, but overall, it's good.
Overall, it's pretty good. That's why we gave it a B grade. Continue to get your votes in here for what you think the grades are. So how about this? We're going to go to just this one signing, okay? Mm-hmm. Xavier Rhodes, because he is a player that's very controversial on our show especially as well. So 1 year, $5 million. A, B, C, D, or F for Rhodes.
Yeah, interestingly enough, we haven't actually gotten the exact details on this contract yet in terms of how much is guaranteed, how much is incentive. So that makes me think it's going to be more like maybe a 1 year, $2 million deal with maybe limited guarantees. If that's the case, that's a worthwhile gamble. I'm just not convinced that Rhodes is ever going to return to his previous form. We've seen it with corners before. Nnamdi Asomugha, sometimes if you're a corner, you don't find it once you lose it. Not everyone is a Terrence Newman, Iron Man.
Josh Norman. Sorry, I don't know where that came from. Let's go to the Jacksonville Jaguars now, Tom. We're giving them a B- grade. I think that this is a pretty solid grade for a team that just wanted to get as many draft picks as possible. Plus, you traded away Nick Foles. You had to get out of that one.
Yeah, the Jags are an interesting position because a lot of their free agency stuff was really trade related, but we're including it all together because how could you not? You got a fourth for Foles, a fifth for Boye. I love that. Didn't love Calais Campbell. Fine deals for Eifert and Joe Schobert. An interesting part here for Jacksonville is that they agreed to a deal with Darqueze Dennard, a 3-year, $13.5 million deal. We had the numbers involved, $6 million guaranteed. And then the two sides couldn't agree to the final terms, so something went awry along the way. They didn't end up signing him. They ended up adding Rashawn Melvin instead at corner. Oh, now he's a free agent, and that's just kind of the awkward spot that happens sometime in the NFL.
Let's now go to the defending Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs. We gave him a D grade. But you tagged Jones, you did lose Kendall Fuller and Emmanuel Ogbah. But, I mean, you're the Super Bowl champs. Do you really need to add that much talent?
No, they didn't have to really do a whole lot, so that's fine. But also, like, I'm not going to, like, boost up their grade just because they didn't have to do anything. They didn't do anything. Their free agency hasn't been all that impactful for them. That's still a D grade. I'm not going to grade the Chiefs on a curve just because they didn't have to make a bunch of moves. So everyone works on the same scale. Sorry, Chiefs fans.
We're breaking down NFL free agency grades, and I'm doing the Raiders now. We're giving them a B+ grade. You added so much talent on the defensive side of the football. My number one player that I wanted the Raiders to go out and get, Corey Littleton. And you also had a little bit of depth in Nick Kwiatkowski. Plus, you had Jeff Heath, Jason Witten, Malik Collins, Carl Nassib, Eli Apple even adds a little bit of depth. Plus, Marcus Mariota. Marcus Mariota is going to have to push Derek Carr, and overall, I think that defensive team got a lot better. But you did lose Tahir Whitehead, who led the team in tackles, and you did lose Carl Joseph. The Las Vegas Raiders, they get a B+ grade. Let's go to the Chargers now. They get an A grade, and if you want to talk about one of the steals of free agency, Chris Harris, period.
I love the Harris signing. I love the Brian Bulaga signing. I love the Linval Joseph signing. I don't care about losing Melvin Gordon. The only complaint you could really offer right now about the Chargers is they don't really have a quarterback. Now, I think they're going to address that in the draft, so I think that'll be fine. But operating just in that bubble, I like what the Chargers have done. Frankly, I think they've had one of the best offseasons so far, if they get quarterback figured out.
This next one, I'm not sure if we're grading the logo or the team in free agency.
Well, the logo's
Either
an
way,
F.
It's a D.
No, the logo is an outright F, Mitch.
I mean, the Rams,
they
they lost a lot of talent, Tom. You lost Littleton, Fowler, Gurley, Clay Matthews, Nicole Roby-Coleman, who, you want to talk about a deal. Nicole Roby-Coleman 1 year was just incredible to me.
We will get to Philadelphia, I promise, guys. My issue is that you added Leonard Floyd, who's not that good, and you released a better player in Clay Matthews. Like, I that's just not good for the Rams. Like, I don't like the moves that they've done. You lose Nicole Roby-Coleman. I know you're going to bank on the Michigan kid you drafted last year. I don't like their moves at all.
You also have to talk about, well, the Michael Brockers deal that didn't happen. So we saw that he agreed to a 3-year, $30 million deal, but this whole Michael Brockers thing was pretty interesting. We thought he was going to go to the Ravens, and then he ended up going back to the Rams for 3 years, $24 million.
Yeah, so that Ravens deal fell apart because there were ankle injury concerns with Baltimore. He ends up agreeing on a 3-year, $24 million deal worth up to $31.5, so there's probably some unlikely to be earned incentives involved there. He ends up going back to L.A. Now they've got Aaron Donald, Brockers, and A'Shaun Robinson, so that front is going to be pretty darn interesting for L.A.
That's why we ended up giving them a D grade, Tom. Let's now go to the Miami Dolphins, who get an A grade. And you want to talk about just blowing money, spending money. You got Kyle Van Noy, Byron Jones. I like a lot of the moves they made. I think that they saw Brady no longer in that division. Let's go out and spend some money.
They had money to spend. They've addressed some key areas on defense. I think come draft time, offense is going to be a big-time focus for them.
Let's head on now to the Minnesota Vikings, where we're giving them a D+ grade, and they just didn't have a lot of money to bring back some of their top free agents.
Yeah, Minnesota's in a very interesting spot. They lost so much on defense. Trey Waynes, Linval Joseph, Xavier Rhodes, Mackenzie Alexander, Everson Griffin, lost Stephon Diggs on offense, and they got Michael Pierce. That doesn't really do a whole lot for me.
No, I totally agree. D+ for the Minnesota Vikings. You did extend Kirk Cousins, and you did add Michael Pierce. So I personally don't think the Vikings are the biggest loser. They are a loser. That's why we gave them a D+. Let us know in the comments section who is the biggest free agency loser. I'm going to make it a little bit tougher on everyone. You can't say the Texans. So besides the Texans, who is the biggest free agency loser? Let's go to the New England Patriots, who also get a D. Could actually probably be up there for the biggest losers. You lost Tom Brady to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and you lost Kyle Van Noy, Jamie Collins, Danny Shelton. They might actually be rebuilding. Sounds kind of weird.
I think we might be right there. And their moves so far have been they added Bo Allen and they added, Adrian Phillips at safety. If we're being honest here, even though we could totally trust Bill, this has not been a good free agency so far for the Patriots.
That's all we're trying to do here is be honest. And the New Orleans Saints, they're next here on our free agency grades. We're giving them an A grade. I mean, you re-signed Drew Brees to a nice contract, 2 years, $50 million. Plus, I love this move. You added Emmanuel Sanders. I think it's actually one of my favorite moves for the New Orleans Saints. Let's now go over to the New York, Tom. C+ grade for the New York Giants. You overpaid for James Bradbury, Blake Martinez. Am I the only one that thinks it's a little bit of a head scratcher franchise tagging Leonard Williams?
I don't understand it, but Dave Gettleman loves defensive linemen, so I'm just going to assume he's trying to build out an 11-man defense only of interior defensive guys.
If you love defensive linemen like Dave Gettleman does, and if you love the NFL draft like Tom Downey and I do, subscribe to Chat Sports. We're the #1 most watched NFL draft coverage last year, and I'm looking into my crystal ball. We're going to be the #1 most watched again this year. So we get the picks before you'll see them on television. We get up to about 20,000 live. We do giveaways. We have a good time. We'll be live for all 7 rounds. It's like 20 hours worth of coverage. Click subscribe. Turn on those notifications. Let's now go to the other team in New York. The New York Jets, C grade.
They invested on the offensive line. George Fant, Alex Lewis, Connor McGovern. Do those guys really move the needle, though? I'm not sure that they do. I do like McGovern. Fant, I'm not convinced on. They got worse at receiver, too. So I love the Pierre Desir pickup, and they tried, but it's pretty average overall.
Go to the Philadelphia Eagles. They get a B grade. The city of brotherly love. You added Javon Hargrave, 3 years, $39 million. You did lose Big V. However, the amount of money that Big V got, I don't really think it's that bad of a move. But when you really talk about the Eagles, they were active in free agency, especially going out and getting some cornerbacks. This DARIUS Slay trade especially, you get Slay, and you give up a 3rd and a 5th round pick. Yes, you're going to have to pay Slay 3 years, $50 million, but you're a team that need a cornerback play. I like this move a lot for the Eagles.
I do too. And look, they went from like a C- D+ before the cornerback moves. Now you got Slay and Coleman in there too. That's some big time upgrade. All that's missing, linebacker and receiver help.
Which you could see in the draft. Subscribe. Okay, Pittsburgh Steelers, they're up now. Giving them a C grade.
Yeah, they haven't done a whole lot. I like the Eric Ebron pickup. You lost Javon Hargrave. You kind of was going to happen the minute you franchise tag Bud Dupree. BJ Finney, Ramon Foster are gone, so guard's a big area of focus for Pittsburgh. So Ebron helps it out here, but this is pretty average at best.
The San Francisco 49ers, they're getting a B+. You kept Eric Armstead, 5 years, $85. Jimmy Ward and Ronald Blair. Plus, I love this pick for the Niners. You traded DeForest Buckner for the 13th overall pick. Now you have 2 picks in the first round. I expect that they're going to go wide receiver there. Yes, you did lose Emmanuel Sanders. You added Travis Benjamin, who can stretch the field a little bit. B+ grade for the 49ers. Let's now dive, Tom, into the Seattle Seahawks. They get a B grade. The NFC West is shaping up pretty nice. 11-5 last year, but you picked up Bruce Irvin, Brandon Schnell, and BJ Finney.
I was pretty worried about Seattle up until they made the trade for Quentin Dunbar. I love that pickup by Seattle. They desperately needed a number 2 corner. They had not been investing in that spot enough in the draft. Now they get one for a 5th round pick that's outside the top 150. A pretty easy answer for me on this one, Mitch. Seattle won this trade. I love this move by the Seahawks. This is what contending teams should do. Trade those late round picks for instant impact guys. And even if they don't retain Dunbar, they'll probably get a 5th round comp pick for him. So that's a huge win.
Every single person should be typing their 1 for the Seahawks because, yes, they easily won this trade. Let's go now to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because you got a guy named Tom Brady. I don't know. I think I could stop there.
Yeah, and there's been some water carrying out there for Mr. Brady of how, all these players want to sign with the Bucs, and since then, they got an Ndamukong Suh, a receiver you never heard of, and a backup offensive lineman. So maybe that was a little bit overblown, but regardless, overall, Suh comes in. Still got to find a new wide receiver 3, but you kept JPP and tagged Shaq Barrett. That's a win for the Bucs.
Let's go to the Tennessee Titans. They get a C+ grade. You re-signed Ryan Tannehill, 4 years, $118 million. You also tagged Derrick Henry. I think those were your 2 biggest players that you needed to bring back. You still don't know what you're going to do with Logan Ryan yet, but the loss of Jack Conklin, especially when I look at the deal, 3 years, $42, I'm kind of surprised there. So that's why we're going to go with a C-plus grade for the Tennessee Titans. Let's now go to Washington, Tom. We're going to wrap up our grades here. The Redskins, they get a C.
Yeah, it's fine. Like I actually like bringing back Kendall Fuller, who of course they traded for Alex Smith, which was a disastrous trade on their end. Sean Davis, Wes Schweitzer, Thomas Davis were all, I thought, pretty good deals. I don't know why they picked up Peyton Barber. It's just you traded away Quentin Dunbar. You haven't addressed all of your needs yet. It wasn't bad. It wasn't as bad as, frankly, the Redskins have done before, but I thought it was pretty average in the end.
C grade for the Washington Redskins. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please do. Click that big red button.